the structure of today's meeting. But as I said before, this is just a guide. It's because this is not a lecture. So can you see, Irina, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see, yeah.
Okay, great. So this is the questions and answer session. And we have 1 hour and a half, more or less. And first, we're going to ask you 2 questions. So in 2 minutes, you need to go to menti.com and enter this code to answer these questions. And the idea is just to have like a general overview of where you are and what is the language situation in the place where you live. And then we are going to answer your questions about the project and the models. And then we would like to hear your feedback and suggestions if you have. And after that, if it's possible, we would also like to hear your experiences with multimodal and multilingual forms of education. And at the end, we are going to have another Mentimeter with a word cloud, but we are going to see this later. So now to start, just go to menti.com. You can use your phone or you can use your computer. And I'm going to show you the results there. And you have the questions there. So just go to menti.com and enter this code. That I'm going to, I think I can copy paste it to the chat. I'm going to try to do that. Yeah, that's the code. And now I'm going to open the menti.com that is here somewhere. Let me find it. My percentage. Yes. So this is what we have, the answers. So do we have all the answers? Everybody replied? 16? Yes, I think I haven't answered yet. Irina, did you?
Yeah, I just did it, but it should be like 15-15. Not everybody. Now
So we still need a few answers?
Yeah.
Maybe it's me. I'm going to...
Oh, now less.
19? Someone else? No? Well, that's fine. Yes, so the question is, do you live in an officially bilingual or multilingual region? So we have 13 yes and 8 no. So yeah, so most of you live in a bilingual or multilingual region, officially multilingual, but still it's not a big difference, right? We can talk about this later. So thank you. And the next one. How many languages do you typically see in the signs of your city? I think that we need just one more. Yeah, that's it. Okay. 7 of you said that only 1, 8. That's a lot, I think. But well, that's frequent as well, like a monolingual landscape. And then the rest 5 in all of the cases. 2, 3. Oh, we have more participants now, 25. Oh, good. 9. Yeah, I think that 9, it's a very high number. And we have 7 with 3 languages. Okay, yeah. So thank you very much for your answers. So, before we continue, can I ask maybe 1 or 2 of you that maybe tell us a bit more about your answer? So volunteer? Or we should just pick someone? Okay. Brooke, can you tell us a bit about your linguistic landscape, or where do you live? What was your answer? 1 language, 2 languages?
Well, I put 1 because I live in Calgary and it's mostly English speaking. So when you said region for the first question, that was a little tough for me because Canada is so big and officially we have 2 official languages, French and English. But I would say within the province of Alberta, there are French speakers, there are Francophone communities, but it's not an official language. So when I'm around my city and my landscape, I would say it's mostly English. Although we do have some Indigenous languages that if you go into certain areas of the city, you might see, some different languages. But mostly it's English, maybe a bit of French here and there. I don't know if Eve or Christina, I know you guys are both from Calgary, want to add to that at all. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, I think you were. I was kind of like thinking this about the same. It's like it's tricky here because even if we're in Alberta, but we go to the Banff National Park, we're going to be received with French and English signs and hello, bonjour. But if it's at city, so if we're here in Calgary. I mean, I live in the Southwest, so if I drive by the Tsuut'ina First Nation, I will see a little bit of language in Blackfoot, but yeah, I think mostly English. So I completely agree with you, Brooke. I don't know, maybe Eve has a different vision, but yeah, I think we're, yeah.
I would echo just the same thing. We're also in the midst of our Truth and Reconciliation process. And so with that, language is really underscored as being very important. So we are starting to see, in terms of our linguistic landscape, more presence of Indigenous languages. Our new public library, when you go in, it also really represents the diversity of languages in our city, although those are not official. So as a country, we have 2 official languages. Our Indigenous Language Act was passed last year. But yeah, our landscape is shifting quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that's very
also,
interesting.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
Sorry. I would like to emphasize and give a shout out to the Calgary Board of Education because the district offers bilingual programs. So I teach in a Spanish bilingual school, but there are Mandarin bilingual schools, German bilingual schools, and French bilingual and French immersion. So I think, and that's public. So I think the city offers a really rich linguistic variety and landscape here. So I think that's kudos to Calgary. Yep. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's very interesting. And actually, I have a question. I'm going to cheat a bit because we're supposed to be answering the questions. But since Brooke and all of you, Christina and Eve, mentioned Indigenous languages, and I think that this was a very interesting topic that it was mentioned on the classroom. And I was just wondering is there a specific area in Canada where you can actually have a linguistic landscape with indigenous languages, but as a majority. Like most of the landscape that you see has indigenous languages. Do you have that, or is something that is just starting now to shift? So this is a question for people in Canada.
Yeah, so I was waiting because maybe my two colleagues here, Brooke and Eve, I'm certain that they've been living in Calgary for a longer time than myself. I'm originally from Spain, but I think I have a bit of information about that. So Canada is divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories, being Nunavut, the territory with probably the most amount of indigenous people. They are Inuit, and they have Inuktitut as their own language. And they are also in the north of Quebec, Newfoundland, Labrador, and I'm missing one, Ontario maybe. So here in Alberta, it's more like reservations, let's say, like it's like First Nations where they have their own government of the land. They are trying to get land there so they can have their very specific linguistic landscape in there. And please, Brooke and if just but if we go, I've been to the northwest to Yellowknife, and you can see lots of Dene people in there. And of course, that linguistic landscape is going to be different. But if you ask for a majority of indigenous language, I would say Nunavut, that territory in the northeast, probably. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think so, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Christina. No, that's very interesting. Yes, so thank you very much for your answer. I think that maybe we can continue talking about this later. So let's move on with this session. So now is the moment for you to ask us all the questions that you have about the platform, the classroom, what you saw there, or about the project. I see that Sylvia is here now. Yes, and we have more people from the LoCALL team. So I think that the way that maybe we can organize this, if you want to ask a question, maybe you can just say so in the chat and then turn on your microphone once we say your name. So, do you have any questions? Okay, so here we have a question. Sylvia, maybe you would like to tell a bit about the project in general? Because Eve is asking, well, she's saying, I would love to know more about the project.
I think, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being there. I didn't expect such a crowded session today because it's not that early here in Europa. I know it's we have different time zones here. I also want to thank the presence of all you from Canada. I see some friends from Brazil as well. And it's really an honor to welcome you here and to talk to you about the project. I just want also to say that I'm not alone in this project, of course not. And I just want to name the other local partners and mainly the coordinators in France, Barcelona, Portugal, and Holland and the Netherlands. So we have Andrea Young for Strasbourg, for France. We have with us Joana Duarte in the Netherlands as coordinator. We have Monica Lorenzo coordinating our work in Portugal, and Melinda, from Barcelona in Spain, also with us. So it's a very, I would say a beautiful team working together from already some time now. But this is the first time we engage in such a collaborative project. And as you may notice, yes, I know the old Strasbourg. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. I just wanted to name the coordinators because I didn't want to take that long. I'm the coordinator from the university from Hamburg in Germany, but I'm Portuguese myself. And I'm quite incidentally teaching foreign language education, French and Spanish at university. So as I told you, we have people from 5 universities, 5 countries. And if we accept Portugal, the Portuguese and the German team, all the other colleagues work in quite bilingual environments. And even if Strasbourg is quite French, we see a lot of German and also the dialect around in the linguistic landscape. The same for the Netherlands with Frisian and the Alsatian. Thank you, Andrea. And also in Barcelona with Catalan and Spanish. So most of our partners are in bilingual regions or trilingual. When we, if we consider, and we will consider Alsatian as well. So the idea was and is to use this linguistic variety in the landscapes to teach our students about linguistic diversity, of course, but also to use it as a resource in the classroom, an active resource to teach languages, but to teach also about languages and develop the multilingual awareness. We are not just using the languages, the official languages or co-official languages in our linguistic landscapes. We are also using other languages. I mean, while answering the questions in Menti, I put my choice on, I live in a monolingual environment, and I was thinking, well, is it true? And then I've signaled more than 3 languages in the linguistic landscape, because we are also using the languages of the migrant communities. And in our proposal to the European Commission, because this is an Erasmus Plus project, we also added, for example, the languages we hear and not just the languages we see, and not just the fixed languages in panels and advertisement. We also thought about sign languages and another aspect I would like to say, because this was a very important discussion in the discussion forum yesterday, it's that we need to think linguistic landscapes in a more inclusive way, and also to include Braille and sign languages. And these aspects are also or already in the presentation of our project and in our proposal. So it was amazing and really a relief to see that the participants in our training week also see the need to include not just the visual signs in panels, advertisement or coffee shops, but also to include the languages as they are used in a multimodal sense. So thank you so much. So we are producing something in this project, and it's very important also to count on you on this, because we are producing these modules, and I think one of the aims of this chat is to discuss the modules and materials that you can see in the materials for today. And we are also producing some tutorials and oh my God, I always forget that name. Tutorials and podcasts on the use of linguistic landscapes for multilingual learning. and for the development of multilingual awareness and multilingual education. And we also intend to produce a learning app, an application that can be used also with the same aim. At the end, our intention is to produce guidelines for the use of these resources at school, and probably, but that's just how we have thought about it, perhaps not just for the foreign language classroom, but also for other school subjects. So if you have other questions, just tell me. I think I will be definitely pleased to answer. And I think my colleagues are also eager to answer all the questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvia. Yes, so now I was taking a look at the questions, but I don't see more questions right now. Just Frederica mentioned it, something with the modules. Just about that Google form. Yes, some links go directly to a Google form, but I'm sorry, I hear a microphone, like an echo. Is that Silvia, maybe? Can you turn off your microphone? Yeah, thank you. Yes, you have some links that go to a Google form. So yes, you cannot download that, but you can actually complete that form and like use it. You can copy paste, that's fine. And you can, and I think that I mentioned it somewhere, that you can complete the form. That's not going to ruin our data or something, because it's a form that we create for this. So you can just use it. And the other documents, you can download it as well. So that's fine. Yeah. So let me see if we have another question. No. Yes. Cristina, is this project like a starting point to a bigger project? I like the introduction of linguistic landscapes and linguistic diversity at schools. So I think that this was already answered, right, by Silvia. The question is just if this is a starting point of a bigger project, but I think that now the project is more or less clear.
May I say something?
Yes.
The project, it seems quite well advanced if you take a look at all the materials we have uploaded in our Training Week platform, but the project is just starting. I have to say this. The project started in September 2019, so less than a year. And we still have a long way to go to produce all the materials and make them definitely in the definitely version available to all. We are also launching our website in the days to come. So keep on your attention towards the project. We will have something published very soon. But the end date of the project is 2022. So if at the end of the project we are all still friends, we may think of developing something bigger. Why not? I don't know, a 2020 project. It would be great. But right now we are really concentrated on doing this till the end and doing it well and with a lot of resources. And it will be finished by the end of August 2022. So we are really just starting. And that's why at this point, it is so important to have this diversity of public in our training week, because you can give us really very important feedback on what is being produced. And that will be very important for our local teams to do it better, to produce better materials, to produce materials that could be perhaps more or better adapt to other contexts. Today I posted something in the forum, and I don't know if I was getting it right, but glancing through the materials, I thought, oh my God, are we being too Eurocentric in our perspectives on linguistic landscapes? Should we perhaps also introduce in our materials the indigenous languages that we spoke about in the discussion forum? I also thought about what the colleague from Curitiba said about using Braille also in the linguistic landscapes and making our students aware of other forms of communication. So reflecting on all this, I thought, well, perhaps we need to engage with linguistic landscapes in a more inclusive way and bring them also to our materials, but then we have to produce also much more multimodal materials and not just the hardback, paperback ones we were thinking about. So that's just my thoughts about something bigger, perhaps also something different after this training week. Thanks to your comments and feedback.
Yes. So I'm sure that most of you already took a look at the models. So maybe you would like to say something about what you saw there. Do you have any comments or questions or suggestions? You can take a minute to think about it, and then you can ask us, of course. No questions or comments?
Thomas, as-tu une question?
Ouais, I will try to speak in English. So I think it was really interesting what Sylvia was saying about maybe our project is too European, Eurocentric, but this will maybe make me think a lot about each project is limited, and we are working on languages. So we can't work on all languages. That's why I think it is really important to, with the linguistic landscape, for example, we need to, if I understand well the concept, to work with and for our landscape. So maybe working with indigenous languages in Europe, maybe it's interesting with multilingual awareness, but I think I don't know. I remember what were saying Louise Daben in a conference, and she say for Eurocom. I don't remember yet the name of the project, but she tell like every project needs to be well delimited and with limited to work well. Otherwise, I think it's too much. So yes. I don't know if you're, it was just like, yeah, a question, like suggestion, because I know it's a lot of work and it's really beautiful to see all the modules you've already done. But I think, yeah, it's already really good.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Marcella?
Joanna?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because, well, I don't know if you've mentioned it or not, but we were starting to implement our modules in the Netherlands with Irina and Marcella. And we, of course, got interrupted by this virus, unfortunately. And I think we all went to schools and talked to teachers. And on the one side, you can identify immediately certain challenges, you know, for example, in secondary education, that there is a great deal of compartmentalization. So you have a language taught by one teacher in some kind of time slots, and this makes it difficult to cooperate with other teachers and to organize a team and to break through the boundaries of a school schedule or a school team. So this was something that we were struggling, although in some of the schools we found that teams were ready and open to collaborate and to let go of their normal teaching time in order to combine languages and to make something for a topic like the linguistic landscape and not for the learning of a language. And I was just reading Irina's results yesterday, and I was thinking about the role of she's writing a master thesis that is closely related to the project, but it has a specific focus on what can language awareness approaches bring to regions with a minority language, because of the discussion that regional minority languages always want their space and to protect their own language. And they fight with language power relations in the region. But on the other hand, a language awareness approach would mean inviting other languages to the regional minority class. So there is a tension there between, shall I allow, in our case, Dutch or Turkish or whatever in my Frisian class, or shall I separate Frisian and protect it so that it can thrive and survive? So there is a kind of a tension there. And when I was reading through your results yesterday, Irina, I was thinking that actually all the teachers were very positive and saw the strength of a language awareness approach within the minority class. For example, with linguistic landscapes or discussing linguistic landscapes, although at the same time they were trying to say, but I speak most of the time Frisian because otherwise they will not hear it. So you could see the tension in what the teachers that Irina interviewed were saying. And we hope that by really implementing all the modules, that we can really say that by inviting multilingualism into your language or subject class, it doesn't have to mean that you're endangering your own subject or endangering your own class. So I hope that this will be one of the outcomes of the project, because many teachers are very positive towards plurilingual or multilingual approaches while still trying to protect their own subject. So if we can contribute to this discussion, I think this will be a very big gain of the project.
Yes, thank you, Joanna. Yes, someone else, would you like to comment on this, or maybe to pose another question or comment?
Yeah, I would like to say, if possible, I really like the idea of language awareness approach. I think we live in a time that what we see in the news most of the time is completely the opposite. It's like hate towards those who speak a different language because they come from a different country or they have a different cultural background. And I really love the idea of bringing that language awareness to the classroom. You know, like myself speaking Spanish is as valuable as myself speaking in English. I'm the same person, and I should be respected the same. And it doesn't mean that because I am dedicating a little bit of time to language awareness in my class, that means that English or Spanish are going down because of this time. I think that's enriching for the students, and it rang a bell. I don't know if you guys are aware, but some years ago, it was an European project, not Erasmus+, but it was called the Linguistic Portfolio of Languages. So I didn't like it at first when it came out because my students were too little. Grade 1, grade 2, they are not really aware of the languages, linguistic landscape, and I think it was a little bit too big for us. But now I'm teaching a blended grade 4, 5, and those guys know. They know that they have friends that they speak in a different language because grandma is from a different country. Their eyes are a little bit more open. Maybe here it's, I really like the idea of that, like bringing awareness and telling them that a language is not just a bunch of words that you speak together. They represent a culture and a group of people, and that should come as one. It's not language and culture, it's language and culture. That's why I'm really passionate about this project, and I'm willing to help as much as possible. And thank you for organizing that. Thank you, I love it.
You're welcome. And I think that Andrea wants to say something about this.
Yeah, thank you. Language awareness. Yeah, it's I agree totally with you. It's such an important question, and children are really curious about languages as well, and they find it very motivating to learn more about the languages spoken by their friends who are in the same classrooms. And I think it's a really good way in as well to start conversations and collaborations with families, because they have that expertise in their languages, which they can come in and share with the teachers. I find many teachers are kind of worried about doing this because it's giving some of the space in the classroom up to other languages, not the language of the school. And also they feel a bit like their power is lost somehow because it's not the language of the school that's being used. They can't check if it's correct. They don't know what somebody is saying exactly. So it's a bit destabilizing for teachers. But once they've tried it, I think there's no going back afterwards, because it really helps families and parents to work together, and it really helps kids from minority backgrounds to feel included, but also kids who are from the mainstream language background to be more informed and more open about diversity. So yeah, you struck a chord in my heart, Christina, with your language awareness.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes, so someone else, would you like to comment on this language awareness or the implementation of the models or the design of the models, maybe? Because actually we couldn't implement all of them yet because of the Corona situation, but maybe you had a comment about the designs or the activities that we have there.
I was wondering if Francisco could present some of the experiences he had in the school this week. Francisco, are you there?
Francisco Cordero, yes, he's there.
I think he's there.
Yeah.
Because she has been experimenting the modules in the classroom this week. So I think we would like to hear about your experiences, Francisco.
Francisco, we cannot hear you. If you're talking, can you write that in the chat so we know that something's happening, but we cannot hear you. Yes, he's there. Yeah, I think that now your microphone is on. No, but we cannot hear you. No. No. Can you hear me? But the rest of you, can you hear me? Yes. But Francisco, no. Okay. I don't know what is happening. Well, Francisco, maybe you can try to leave the meeting and come back and see if that's the problem. But it is odd because actually I can see that the microphone is on, but we cannot hear you. So maybe in the meantime, someone else would like to share their experiences at the school. Monica.
Hi everyone. I'm Monica from Melinda's team in Barcelona. And well, it's been a great experience. Our initial planning wasn't what we did because of the coronavirus. And we were supposed to explore the school linguistic landscape with an artist and create some artworks collaboratively with the students, permanent artworks to remain in the school, representing all those languages living in the school. So we couldn't do that. And Melinda, Claudia, and I had several meetings in order to organize some virtual proposals. And well, I must confess that the students responded really, really well to the proposals. They understood the ideas, even though I couldn't explain them to what it is. I couldn't explain the ideas, what a linguistic landscape is and what lies behind all these ideas. So I was modeling what they could do. I was giving some instructions, and they discovered many languages in their houses, also in the city. And well, I was impressed with their findings and their comments. And what I miss is a follow-up activity. I think that now we are right at the moment in which face-to-face sessions would help a lot to reflect upon the findings and maybe have a discussion in Catalan or in Spanish to create this language awareness and carry on working next year. And I will continue working on the issue, on the topic next year, because I think that even though the difficult times, I'm pretty proud of the output. So thank you so much for offering me this opportunity and opening new doors to my teaching praxis somehow. I don't know if you want to say something or if I made myself clear.
Yes. Joanna, were you saying something or not?
No.
Okay. I thought you were talking, yeah.
No, I was thinking maybe you can share our experience, because we decided to connect the implementation of our modules to the actual learning of different languages. So our work with the students was also very multilingual. So Marcela was actually speaking in Spanish with the students, and they were 12-year-olds, and the teacher was very scared beforehand, like, oh, this will not work. So because they had to reflect about the subject, they had to make a quiz and all kinds of activities in Spanish. So we worked multimodally. So we had Marcela's slides translated into Dutch and Frisian, but she was using Spanish. So everyone was afraid, like, oh my God, this will be the Tower of Babel and the students will die. But actually, we were so positively surprised, and some of the students were very active, and beforehand, we got some instructions to separate some boys and something. So we were a little bit afraid that if they will not understand, then they will be paying no attention. But maybe you can share your experience, because I think everyone was very surprised about how they reacted.
Yes, actually I was very worried because, yes, I knew that they only knew maybe 2-3 words in Spanish. So, yeah. But No, it was very nice. They understood a lot, and I think that it was very important, at least in my experience, to use lots of gestures, because I was using, I usually use like my hands a lot. But in this case, I also did it. So I had the slides in Dutch, as Joanna mentioned, and I was speaking in Spanish. I never switched. I spoke in Spanish all the time, but I was pointing out all the time, like I said a sentence and I showed them on the screen. So I think that was very important. I also spoke very slowly, but still normal. It wasn't like a weird speech or something, no. And what else? Yes, we were also worried because this group was very active, as Joanna mentioned. But I think that the fact that we introduced something that was different to them, something that they were not used to, it was something that made them like all pay attention, and they were very focused on the presentation. So it was very interesting and nice because after the presentation, I think that they were all convinced that they could speak Spanish after that, in a way. So that was nice. I think, yeah, it's really nice. It was a very good experience, and I think that it's something to do and that maybe usually we don't do, or maybe it's not done in language subject. Because we are afraid that we are going to create a sort of chaos and that they are not going to understand, but they do. And it's a very fun activity, I would say, too. So for us, it was a very nice experience. Yes. I don't know, maybe some of you had a similar experience, like, or did something similar to what we did, like using materials in one language and explain it in another.
Yeah, but maybe I can add something, because we did this with Spanish and we also did it with Frisian. And
yes.
Frisian teachers, they told us beforehand that they were a little bit afraid because we were conducting our research in a more, a less rural area where Frisian is not as stark, as strong as in the villages. So they said, oh, we have lots of pupils speaking at home Dutch or other languages, but not Frisian, and they might have a negative attitude towards Frisian. So they were a little bit afraid of us using Frisian in a very self-evident way while introducing the whole multilingualism concept and linguistic landscapes. And we connected our project to the teacher training program. So we asked students attending the teacher training program to Frisian-speaking students to come and help us do the Frisian parts. And I think this was a really good experience for the pupils, because Frisian became very evident. It was nothing weird at all. These are young people. They are very engaged with the Frisian language. They are training to be teachers, so they have all the pedagogical ways of talking to the students. And at the end, the teachers, they said, oh, this is a great way of also raising positive attitudes towards minority languages, because they are being used not to be taught, but they are being used to conduct a wonderful project that will take the students outside, that will make them conduct research themselves, and being accompanied by young people who are trained to become teachers. So they were actually very positive about the strength of a linguistic landscape project in which pupils have a very active research role towards fostering positive attitudes towards minority languages.
Yes, and I would like to add something. More a personal experience in the classroom. After our interventions there, like Irina was there, probably she remembers, some of the students approach us and they just start to talk to us and tell us all the languages that they spoke. And they spoke also migrant languages or other minority languages. So I think that what we did was very good for them. They had the feeling that it was actually a good thing to speak other languages than the majority language. So in a way, we contribute to make that they feel proud on the language. So I think that's really important in this project and for us working in this project. Yes. Well, someone else would like to ask a question or comment on this?
Yeah, I'm sorry for taking the mic so much. I would like to share that when Erasmus Plus projects were called Comenius projects, that's a bunch of years ago, I had the opportunity to work in two different projects with my school in Spain and a school in Sweden. The second project was Sweden, Ireland, and England. So that gave us the opportunity, something that when I was drawing my linguistic biography, when I first started to learn English, I wrote in there like I hated it. I was in grade 6. My family was never having, the opportunity to pay for me to go abroad, and Canada was not even in the map at the time. So I didn't have a purpose to learn English. It was just something that like post people do, like learning another language. It's just the rich. So I didn't like it, but when I became a teacher, my life changed a little bit in being granted to spend a month with a host family in Ireland. But this project, going back to the project of my life, this project gave us a purpose. So those 2 years that my school was involved in a Comenius project, it was all about cultures and linguistic awareness. My students had the feeling, the need, I need to speak English because I need to communicate with those kiddos in Sweden. I don't speak Swedish, they don't speak Spanish. English is the only thing we have. And we created, like Erasmus Plus Comenius, they always need you, the requirements of the project are to create something. You need a final product. Our final product was all around culture. So we share stories from Spain, stories from different countries. The Irish were using Gaelic, not English. And that gave us all equal importance, that placed us on the European map. And my students were feeling, like super empowered, and they really wanted to learn English. And they saw this is useful. It's not something that the law says that I have to do, but it gave the meaning. So that's why when I saw that you guys were coming with a project, I was like, I'm in right away. So I think that's what we need. We need our students, no matter if they live in France or Canada, wherever they live, to be aware of languages, that a language is like a magic key in your ring. You never know which doors you need to open, and it brings those positive attitudes. We are every single culture, every single language is equally important. And yeah, I think we need to police lots of hate coming from, I don't know, the trends currently that are happening in the world, maybe. So I think you guys are doing a great job, and I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. Okay. Someone else? More questions or suggestions, maybe? Or ideas to include in our models? Or for the rest of you also? It's not necessarily to us, maybe an advice between colleagues in general. Okay. Thomas, is there a continuation of the project, like after primary school? Would you like to add something to your question?
Yeah, I was just thinking like multilingual awareness, like in France, I know, and in Brazil, where I was working, is a lot about children. And I was thinking if, like in secondary school or at the university in your countries, is there like any implementation of this project?
Yes. Who? I don't know. Who would you like to answer this? Maybe Joanna, Silvia, someone else, or the rest?
Thomas, est-ce que tu pourrais reprendre ta question? Je ne sais pas si j'ai bien compris.
En fait, je voulais savoir si est-ce qu'il y a ce type de projet de paysage linguistique, de travailler sur l'éveil aux langues beaucoup, est-ce que ça se fait principalement pour l'école primaire? Donc, je vois que Latisha Marie me disait que c'était aussi en école secondaire. Mais est-ce que après, est-ce qu'il y a une continuité un peu de ces projets, par exemple pour des étudiants étrangers qui arrivent à l'université? Parce qu'aujourd'hui, il y a beaucoup d'échanges. Je vois par exemple à l'université de Curitiba, on reçoit beaucoup d'Haïtiens, de Vénézuéliens, et il y a un projet d'accueil où on travaille avec ces langues, mais c'est pas vraiment, on peut pas vraiment parler de projet de paysage linguistique, quoi, de linguistic landscape. C'est pour ça que je posais cette question.
Yes, I think that maybe at the beginning we didn't understand because because actually these projects also include secondary schools at the moment. But I don't know if it's something else later. Silvia?
I am just looking at the list of the participants, and perhaps a good idea would be to ask Raquel Carinhas to explain what she's doing in Uruguay. And perhaps she could explain us. I don't know, Raquel, are you there? Because
yes.
She's making really a wonderful work in coordinating, and the supervisors are Elena Araújo and Danielle Moore, who is joining us tomorrow. So I think it may be interesting to see what kind of project you are doing, Raquel. And you don't need to explain everything, because it's really a lot of work with the cooperation with museums and families. But I think it would be interesting to know more about your project if you can explain us.
Yes, well, Raquel doesn't have a microphone, but I think that she's going to write a few lines in the chat, right, Raquel? We just need to wait a bit. It's a project with the schools, museum, and families. Interdisciplinary project. They work with linguistic landscapes at the museums and back to schools. Almost with art and photography.
if it takes too much time reading this, I can just say that they published an article recently in Les Cahiers de la CEDLE, and you can read more about the project, and it's in free access, and it's open access, and you can download it and read it afterwards. It's really a very good project, and the kids engage with producing their own linguistic landscapes and how they envision their linguistic landscapes in the future. It's really very interesting. And then they go to the museum and they create a lot of resources to bring the languages to other spaces that are not just connoted with learning languages and schools. So it's really very interesting. Can we link the article? Okay, we will put the article in the resources in the classroom as well.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
Raquel says that they are creating a map to a local museum. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. So yes, later we are going to add that article, yes, to the classroom. Yes. What else? I think that there was something else, not from Raquel. It's just it is an idea that Frederike added here. I'm going to read it. It says, I did not see all the models yet, but it might be nice if you could collect a small language sample for many different languages, and that the students then can guess which language it is. I think it is good for students to get used to different sounds of languages. So you could also combine it with how languages are written. The students can maybe match sound samples with the written parts. I am compiling this in my own small project. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, in Groningen, we don't have anything with audios yet. I mean, we are the audio in the class. But yes, I think that this is very nice. Maybe, do you have any experience with this? Someone else, I mean, besides Frederike? No? No? Yeah, well, thank you, Frederike. And Joanna is asking Frederike if she wants to design a model based on her idea. Yeah.
And I just want to say that Lisa has some problems with the microphone, and she was saying that if you take a look at the modules from Hamburg, you will find an example of activities related to the different alphabets and writing systems. So just take a look and leave your comments. It's number 5, she says.
Okay. Francisco. Yes, we can try that again. So, Francisco, are you there? Yes, Francisco, no, it doesn't work because your microphone is on, but we cannot hear you. So I'm sorry. You can try to write if you want. But also, this is all for all. Just remember that on Thursday, there's another chance. I mean, we don't have like this type of meetings, but we are trying to organize like smaller meetings. So we can continue talking about this and you can discuss between you. Yes. So someone else, do you have more questions or comments? We still have 20 minutes, Francisco, so you have time to try something different.
Or
yes, Silvia?
Joanna says, don't forget to attend our webinar tomorrow, just in case you are not reading the chat. And I don't know if Francisco is trying to use another browser, but in the meanwhile, perhaps we could go to the second Menti. What do you say, Marcela?
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to add the code in the chat. And you just go to menti.com. It's only one question. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see the results there. So the question is, what represents the study of linguistic landscapes for education? So we have 16 so far. $23. How many are we now? I cannot see the screen now. How many participants are there?
28 online.
Okay, so we still need a few more answers. No, no more answers? Well, maybe we can take a look at some of the words that we have here. So we have friendship, alterity, creativity, exploration, opportunity, respect, respeto, open-minded, connection, equality, understanding, awareness, plurilingualism, diversity, awareness, inclusion and open-minded, diversity and inclusion, acceptance, inclusion, curiosity and innovation. Yes. Well, thank you. Would you like to comment on this, Cloud? I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
May I say something? Because I saw lots of words that are connected to like values and socio-affective factors. But what we also saw in our schools was that the use of linguistic landscape can also foster organizational skills, like working together in teams and developing team spirit and a team identity. So it's not just about the values and what you can do for a school or for a pupil, but also how you can change school culture by engaging in such projects like linguistic landscapes.
Yes, and in the chat, Lisa and Melinda mentioned that Melinda says, I'm struck by the fact that all the words are in English. Yeah, but I think that probably that's because we are doing this mostly in English. But well, still, yeah. I think that there was one word that it was not in English, right? No?
Yeah, respeito.
Yeah.
Respeito. But it's quite transparent. Respect, respeito.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is still interesting because I didn't say, for instance, that you should reply in English. It was just a question and we answer. Yeah. So we still have 10 minutes. And I don't know if Francisco is there or if he's still trying to fix this problem. Yes, he's there. So do you think that you can try again or no? Or maybe for today? No, I think it's not working. No, sorry. No, no funciona. Well, but if you are going to participate on Thursday's meetings, yes, then you can try to fix the problem, and maybe it's going to be easier because on Thursday the idea is to have this smaller groups, like 3 or 4 per group. And also tomorrow we have the webinar, and you can also ask there. Yes, Frederica says, Leticia and Andrea, can you maybe tell a bit about your book? When is it coming? So Leticia and Andrea.
Yes. I turned my, can you hear me?
Yes.
So the book on multilingual education and migration and multilingualism and education. That's the book you're talking about? Yes.
Frederica, is it?
Sorry, was that in the chat? We're waiting, it's
Yes.
being reviewed by the editors and we're waiting to get it back. So it should be out, I would say, in the fall. Everything is just ready to go. We're just waiting for the last feedback from Multilingual Matters, and then we should be ready to go in the fall with it. Do you want me to say a little bit more about it? Yes, I don't know if people can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, and I think that Frederica as well. She's not replying, but I would say yes, we want to know more.
So it's from different contexts around the world, and the main keywords, the common thread in all of the chapters is migration, education, multilingualism, and inclusion. So it's in inclusive practices. Either one section of the book is on theories, more theoretical perspectives, and one half of the book is on new practices, so more from the field of education, things that are being put into place. It covers ages from preschool up to higher education, so different things that are being put into place in classrooms across all different age ranges. And it's not just in Europe, but also in the United States, in Japan, so different international contexts as well. And I'm trying to think if I've left anything out, but, and oh yes, very important. We've also asked people from the field, practitioners, teachers, speech therapists, to give their personal perspectives on the different chapters that are in the book. So there's also kind of like thinking in French now, un croisement de regard. There's, you know, different perspectives are being blended to give several different views on the topic of inclusion, multilingualism, and education. And we'll send an email out when that's ready. But and there are several people who are participating in this chat who have contributed to the book.
Thank you, Leticia. Yes. Well, so yeah, I don't know, Silvia, Joanna, would you like to add something to this session before we finish? Because I think that there are no more questions about the modules or the classroom right now.
Mm-hmm. Because we are over the time already in 1 minute, I just want to say thank you to all of us for being here. And I would like to leave this chat in my language. So here it is. Não se esqueçam do webinar amanhã. Temos 3 keynotes. That was not Portuguese. Temos 3 keynotes muito boas. Temos a Danielle Moore, a Larissa Aronin e a Alice Chick, que vêm de áreas geográficas muito diferentes e que vão apresentar perspectivas muito diversificadas sobre o trabalho com paisagens linguísticas. Para além disso, há um trabalho importante sobre a materialidade do plurilinguismo. It will be very, very, very interesting, I am afraid. I hope that not more than 20, how much, I think it's 200 persons are allowed to join us, so yeah. I hope the crowd. So, até amanhã.
Yes, so see you all tomorrow in the webinar at 10. That's the Central Europe time. So if you're not sure about the time in your where you are, you can email us and we can check if you have the correct time. So thank you for being here, and see you tomorrow. And I already uploaded the video with all your introductions to the classroom, so you can take a look at it. Gracias.